Now she's teasing a big announcement that she claims will result in some of her opponents being arrested and charged.
A Dolton home that she leased to Mayor Tiffany Henyard has filed eviction papers. She says Henyard has not paid her rent, and now she wants her.
So, let's dive right into it. Dolton Mayor Tiffany Henyard, the so-called super mayor of Illinois, has been caught in what seems like a never-ending spiral of scandals, corruption allegations, and shocking twists. And with recent moves from the FBI, it looks like her days of high-flying and defiant public appearances might be coming to an end.
South suburban politician Tiffany Henyard appears to have lost control of both governments.
Here's the thing, Tiffany Henyard started her political journey as a groundbreaking figure, Dolton's first black female mayor. She came into office in 2021, and people were excited. She promised to turn things around for this small Illinois town, vowing to focus on economic development, community programs, and the kind of reforms Dolton desperately needed. But if you fast forward to today, it seems like her once bright image has completely dimmed. Instead of success stories, her administration has been rocked by allegations of misuse of funds, out-of-control spending, and a trail of lawsuits that would make anyone's head spin.
Because all this point the finger to Tiffany or allow me, I'm over it. Now it's time for me.
In one of the most jaw-dropping recent developments, former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot, who was hired by Dolton's village trustees to investigate the situation, pulled the curtain back on what she described as Henyard's dire financial mismanagement of village funds. And when Lightfoot went public with her findings, the audience was shocked. Just to give you an idea of the scale, Dolton's general fund was sitting at a balance of $61 million in 2022. Fast forward to May 2024, and that balance had sunk to a deficit of $65 million. Talk about a budget disaster. Now, that alone would be troubling, but Lightfoot's report uncovered even more lavish spending on shopping, luxury hotels, dining, and trips across the country that left Dolton residents wondering if their taxpayer dollars were Henyard's personal piggy bank.
It's a power grab. That's it. Power and money grab.
On the day Lightfoot revealed the report, you could feel the tension in the air. The room was filled with gasps as Lightfoot shared the receipts. Thousands spent on Amazon, with a single purchase for $43,000 on one day alone. And that was just the beginning. There were multiple purchases on that same day, including a $4,700 transaction and another for $5,600. And over on Wayfair, another nearly $8,000 for something she charged to the village. All these high-end expenses, Amazon, Target, luxury goods painted a picture that, let's just say, didn't look much like responsible leadership.
We talked to Tiffany Henyard's landlord, and she says she came to this Thornton Township meeting Tuesday night, hoping to get paid what she says she's owed.
Dolton's village trustees were furious, with one trustee, Kiana Belcher, calling it a slap in the face to every Dolton resident. And she's not alone in her frustration. Trustee Tammy Brown warned that it was time for a clean house by early 2025. And it's not just the trustees who are fed up. Residents like Andrea McKay are heartbroken, especially since many Dolton citizens are struggling with basic expenses. And here was their mayor allegedly blowing through funds. As McKay put it, she was devastated that Henyard had come into town and spent all of our tax money.
Henyard's landlord showed up here to see her tenant in person after she says Henyard has been dodging both her and rent payments for months.
So how did Henyard respond? Did she apologize or try to explain her side? Not quite. In typical fashion, Henyard came back swinging, telling her critics to remember I'm the leader. At one public meeting, she seemed almost annoyed by the pushback she was getting, accusing Dolton trustees of just running their mouths and not doing any real work. She defended her spending as if it were all for the public good, saying her critics were simply grandstanding and should just get in line behind her. And it didn't stop there. She took things even further by playing the race card, saying her critics should be ashamed of themselves for attacking a black woman in power. Henyard seems to be taking the stance that this is all some sort of targeted attack rather than a reaction to real, troubling behavior.
I will be seeking arrests for individuals involved. I will be pressing charges.
But the community isn't buying it. People have been seeing the so-called super mayor plastered across town on massive billboards with slogans like keeping my promises and fighting for my residents next to her bejeweled face. These billboards aren't winning her any favors with the community. Either people have compared the visuals to something out of a dictatorship, calling it reminiscent of leaders in certain authoritarian regimes. The reaction from locals is summed up perfectly by one resident who said, "It's like a dictator. There is no call for it." It's an image that's hard to shake, especially with the village in such deep debt.
I'm just here because I'm at wit's end and I fear that I'm going to go into foreclosure soon if I can't get this matter handled.
Henyard has even used local police officers as her personal security, an expense that isn't sitting well with Dolton's residents. Reports indicate that she has a full detail assigned to her, and these officers rack up overtime just to provide her personal protection at her various events and functions. Some officers have reportedly been made to work more than 100 hours in a pay period, escorting Henyard to everything from meetings to social gatherings. Dolton trustee Brittany Norwood hit the nail on the head when she said it's less about protecting the mayor and more about assigning officers to her personal use, leaving the community feeling less safe and further adding to the financial strain on the village's budget.
Thornton Township tonight as another board meeting got canceled because of a lack of a quorum.
And that came after a disagreement about where to hold the meeting as trustees expressed concerns for their safety.
But Henyard's spending goes beyond personal security details and travel expenses. Recently uncovered records reveal additional controversial expenditures, such as high-priced billboard campaigns and an alleged $85,000 Valentine's Day event, which featured celebrity performances, costly decor, and personal branding that prominently showcased Henyard herself. Critics have slammed the event as another misuse of taxpayer money, pointing out that the funds could have been directed toward improving community resources instead. The blowback from the community over these extravagant events has been fierce, with residents describing the spending as out of touch with Dolton's needs and priorities.
Thornton Township tonight as another board meeting got canceled because of a lack of a quorum.
And that came after a disagreement about where to hold the meeting as trustees expressed concerns for their safety.
Adding more to her list of controversies, Henyard has been known to organize events that highlight her role rather than community achievements, with multiple community gatherings seemingly centered around her image. One such event included her wearing an elaborate ensemble reminiscent of a movie gangster, even cueing music as she made her entrance, which left many attendees baffled. This spectacle-based approach to public service, where Henyard appears to prioritize her own public persona over meaningful policy, has been a major point of frustration for residents. Many see these actions as further proof of her disconnect from the struggles faced by the average Dolton citizen.
In a month, a Thornton Township board meeting was canceled, this time because Supervisor Tiffany Henyard and a trustee couldn't agree on where to have the meeting.
And while Henyard tries to paint these events as efforts to engage and inspire the community, her opponents argue that they serve only to boost her personal brand. Dolton trustee Jason House put it bluntly: "These are just distractions from the real issues we're facing, like budget deficits, unpaid vendors, and lack of resources." His words echo a growing sentiment among residents who feel Henyard's celebrity-style approach to governing has created more chaos than stability. With such visible opposition, Henyard's efforts to portray herself as the community's champion are losing ground fast.
It's her fault. It's her problem, her responsibility, and she failed. She's failed everybody.
And then there's the saga with her landlord, Janetta Hull, who's dealing with an eviction battle against Henyard. Hull claims Henyard and her boyfriend stopped paying rent months ago, despite their high incomes. Henyard's dual roles as mayor and Thornton Township supervisor bring in nearly $300,000 a year. Yet, according to Hull, they still haven't paid rent since August. Hull even alleged that Henyard changed the locks to keep her out of her own property, forcing her to file eviction papers in September. In a town struggling financially, Henyard's personal troubles only add to the image of a public official who's lost touch with the reality most of her constituents live in. Hull put it bluntly, saying she feels at wit's end and has nowhere else to turn. The fact that Dolton's top leader, who's currently under federal investigation for allegedly misusing taxpayer funds, is facing eviction is an irony that isn't lost on the public, and it just keeps chipping away at whatever trust the community might have left in her.
The sheriff's been out here a few times to serve them. For a household that makes, over $350,000 a year.
As if all of this wasn't enough, Henyard's behavior toward her critics has been chilling. She's been known to openly threaten those who oppose her, at times even hinting at pressing charges against her political enemies. On a Facebook Live broadcast, she spoke directly to the camera, saying she would be seeking arrests for those she claims are involved in a power and money grab. But she didn't clarify what crimes her opponents might have committed or why she believes arrests are justified. It's a tactic that's starting to look a lot like a leader using her position to silence dissent, rather than addressing the serious allegations against her.
It's just getting to be redundant, and we're getting tired of coming here, not having the laws followed, not having a meeting.
And let's not forget her other defense tactic, identity politics. Henyard has been vocal about how she believes her detractors are targeting her because she's a Black woman in a position of power. She's said things like "it's me today, it's you tomorrow," presenting herself as a representative of marginalized groups facing unjust criticism. But this angle hasn't won her much sympathy, especially among community members who are tired of what they see as a diversion from the real issues at hand. Many residents feel that her attempts to rally support by claiming discrimination are more about distracting from her alleged misconduct than about genuine discrimination. Now, with the FBI getting involved, the stakes have only grown higher. Residents are speculating that federal scrutiny may finally be what brings Henyard's controversial run to an end. And it's not just Dolton's residents who are eager to see justice done. The entire town has been deeply affected by the financial issues her leadership has allegedly caused. Recently, when Henyard arrived late to a town hall meeting, she was reportedly booed by the crowd, a clear sign that public sentiment has shifted. It's as if her once loyal supporters have finally seen enough. And now she's left scrambling to hold on to any remaining support.
Right now, it appears that they're going to try to have a meeting upstairs. It is not safe up there.
So here we are, watching a political career that once seemed full of promise now in its final days, with scandals, accusations, and lawsuits piling up like dominoes. The FBI investigation marks a significant turn, hinting that these might indeed be Henyard's final days of power. And while she continues to project confidence, as though she's untouchable, one can't help but wonder if this is the beginning of the end. With her town's finances in a downward spiral, unpaid vendors, and angry constituents, it's hard to see how she can keep up this defiant stance for much longer. So what do you think? Is this the end for Tiffany Henyard? Or will she somehow find a way to keep her seat? And with so much chaos surrounding her, could Dolton be better off with new leadership? Let us know what you think in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more on this unfolding saga.